Hello! In this video, my coworker Natalia Hernández and I, Estefany Restrepo, will be presenting our research project's progress.
Well, our topic started from a concert that we have during our classes, teaching practices, and the feedback related to rural education. In those spaces, we often talk about the challenges that rural schools face, like limited resources, low internet access, and materials that are not really connected to students' realities. So, based on that, we started asking ourselves something more specific. What kind of materials are teachers actually using in this context? And especially, what happens with teachers who are not specialized in teaching English? For example, from what we have seen in real context, teachers usually use materials they find on the internet, like worksheets from Google or Pinterest. And many times these materials are not adapted to students' context. So this made us question if teachers are really using multimodal materials in a meaningful way, or if they are just using whatever they find without really analyzing or adapting it. That tension between what should happen and what actually happens it in the classroom is what turned our topic into a research problem.
Now, talking about the importance, this study is important because it helps us understand what is really happening in rural classroom when it comes to teaching materials. We are not only interested in what theory says, but what is actually happening in practice. For example, we want to see if multimodal materials are really being used, how teachers use them, and if they are actually useful for students. Also, this is important for us as future teachers because it helps us reflect on our own role in this context. It's not only about identifying the problem, but also about thinking about how we can contribute to improving English teaching in rural areas, maybe by creating better materials or using more contextualized strategies.
Our research questions, objectives, and participants are all connected because they work together to understand the same situation. The research questions guides what we want to explore, which is the implementation of multimodal materials in rural English classrooms. Then the objectives help us organize what we need to analyze, like identifying the types of materials teachers use and how they apply them in their classes. Finally, the participants, such as in-service teachers, pre-service teachers, and possibly students, give us the information we need. Through their experiences, we can better understand what is really happening in the classroom.
On the other hand, we are planning a qualitative study with an interpretive approach. This is because we are not trying to measure things with numbers, but to understand what is happening in a specific context. We want to see how teachers use materials, how they make decisions, and what these practices mean in their reality. So, this approach helps us explore their perspectives more deeply. For that, we are planning to use different methods like observation, interviews, surveys, and document analysis. These methods will help us collect information from different sources and have a more complete view of the situation.
Finally, one of the main challenges has been choosing the specific context where we are going to carry out the study because we have several possible options, but nothing completely defined yet. Another difficulty has been organizing all our ideas. We are working with different elements like multimodality, rural education, and non-specialized teachers, which are connected but at the same time can feel a bit overwhelming. So sometimes it's hardly to clearly define everything and make it all fit together. However, little by little, we have been able to organize our ideas better and give more coherence to the project.